Qatar. All right, indeed. A very, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us at this edition of Tatakol. It is the 26th of July, 2022, tarehe 26 mwaka 2022. I hope you're doing well. Mwezi ni wa saba. I hope you're doing well. Mwaka ndio inaenda. It's only how many days to Christmas? Less than 90 days to Christmas. Christmas ndio inaanza kufika. I'm doing well as well. It's only 13 days to the general elections, and I hope you ready. I don't know if you're set and your mind is made up for elections. It's another State of the Nation edition of the 26th of July, 2022. Tuko na ARNOLD MALIBA, tuko pia na ndugu yetu BICHACHI ambaye alisema leo acheze hata alifika mbele ya host. So alikuwa host, he almost hosted the host. A pleasure to have you. As usual, I request that when you join in, please like when you like, we get to know that you're watching us. Like, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. Please, when you join in, like when you like, we get to know that you're watching us. Like, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. This is a topic that begins right now. Lakini kama kawaida, lazima tuende mbele za Mungu tuombe, alafu tukirudi basi tunakuja kuwapa salamu zenu. Mighty Father, we come before you this morning. We worship you. Glorify your name. Thank you for another opportunity to be alive. We thank you for this day, but for this program. As we have this conversation, may it edify the fabric of this country. We pray, trusting and believing. Amen and amen. I also didn't know that kumbe my brother ARNOLD MALIBA got another title. He is running for MP in Dagoretti North. Hajaniambia. Na mimi ndio napanga Nairobi. He's not told me. I don't know why. And I'm the one who is planning Kanairo. So he'll tell us as well what he's been up to. But we will also know him to be a public policy analyst. And he'll be having a conversation with us every single time on the issues that affect this nation. So on the state of the nation, he always comes in handy on explaining what is happening in the nation, but in figures and words. All right? And also in BICHACHI, he's a communication strategist. Amekuwa akipanga mambo ya mazungumzo kwa muda mrefu. So he'll also tell us what's happening where. We've also been wondering, there's a saga between DCI and IEBC. DCI and IEBC wanakanganyana na kukanyagana, and every Kenyan is wondering at this point who is fooling who. Is there a game behind the game? Is there another story behind the story? So it got back to get this in perspective. And meanwhile, acha tuangalie mambo ya traffic vile ilivyo. Okay. Mombasa Road looks all clear today, nothing to really worry about. But from Nyayo Stadium getting into the CBD looks a bit crazy. Looks like there's some little traffic on the Uhuru Highway heading into the CBD. Looking at Langata Road from Langata Road, traffic jam kama kawaida inaanza kuanzia pale Southern Bypass overpass, mahali Southern Bypass exchange, all the way to the Team Mall roundabout, and also heading towards the Nyayo Stadium. There's some traffic as well, all through towards Nyayo Stadium, pale Aerodrome Curve as well. There's a lot of traffic towards that line. So Langata Road is looking crazy all through from the Southern Bypass exchange towards the Nyayo Stadium as well. Not looking all good at all. Tukiangalia Ngong Road not looking very clean today. Looks like we have some little traffic, especially from the Adams Arcade. From Adams Arcade, there's some traffic heading towards the Kenyatta roundabout, and also heading into the library, the Upper Hill Library. There's some little traffic as well on that side. Queen's Connect looks all clear this morning, nothing to worry about. All the way to Valley Arcade. Kitanga Road looks all clear as well, nothing to worry about. Kingara Road as usual, lazima kuna kalori kamekwama kwa mlima. There's also traffic on Kingara Road, kameshika kidogo. Looking in as well, Kileleshwa, nothing to worry about. Looks all clear all the way from Riverside to Yaya Center. Looks all clean, nothing to really worry about from that side. Watu wa Thika Road, watu wa Theka. Okay. Waiyaki Way as well heading into town looks all clean, nothing to worry about since the expressway came in. Looks like things have been doing very well. Okay. Watu wa Waiyaki Way hamuja kwa shida siku hizi. Things looking all clean as well. Looking at Thika Road all the way from the KCA University, not looking good at all. Imeshikana kidogo kama kawaida. Sham imeshikana kwanza hapo Delaru, imeshikana mpaka KCA University, imeshikana all the way to the Muthaiga overpass. Watu wa Kiambu Road thick. Watu wa Kiambu Road mambo ni mbaya zaidi, kuanzia hapo from Ridgeways, total Ridgeways not looking good at all the way towards the Muthaiga exchange. But heading into CBD from the Muthaiga exchange, nothing to really worry about. Looks all clean. All right. The CBD, it's crazy. CBD mambo ni ngumu kidogo, ni kama traffic imejaa CBD kiasi. But that is it for you on the roads and the traffic. Wacha tuangalie wapi watu wa Jogoo Road. How is it looking like? Okay, Jogoo Road is crazy as well. Jogoo Road not looking good at all. From the Tomboya Social Hall pale Islando, kameshikana all the way. Imeshikana all the way to City Stadium roundabout. Not looking good at all. Jogoo Road, poleni sana. Donholm looking clean as today. Nothing to really worry about around Donholm. The feeding roads too ndio kama iko na traffic kidogo, and also getting into the Sol area on Lungalunga Road not looking good. Imeshikana kiasi, but generally on the Outer Ring Road looks all clean. Nothing to worry about. Mombasa Road all clean, but from the Nyayo Stadium looks a bit jammed up towards the CBD. That's it. Traffic this morning. I don't know mahali ulipo ali koje. So no traffic this morning. Whatever you, let me know how things are looking like on your roads. Okay. Nimeona nani ameingia hapa, watu wakasonge waka hapa. Lengete anasema kasonge sasa. Asante Musa Arab Tanu Hemen, asante Manuel Kiplimo. Follow me more political updates. Okay. John Wautila, good morning to you. Kipto Jafet, I'm also confused. Hii Kenya yetu iko na mambo mingi, masaa ndio machache. Haya ni kweli. Daniel Kori, good morning Gerald, following from Kabarnet Baringo. Asante David Mairi. Thika Road pia ni jamba. Na Thika Road, watu wa Thika Road ni kubaya. Naona jamii imeanza mbali sana. No looking good at all. Josema ina ndio anasema good morning tuned in from Malindi. Link to join conversation. Haya tutafungua bunge at some point. Asante sana kama umejoin. Watu wote ambao wanasalimia, I hope you've also shared the broadcast. When you join, please like, when you like, we get to know that you're watching us, and after, please share. And you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. Please also let me know where you're watching us from this morning. Where are you watching us from this morning? And how is it looking like? And the big question is the saga between DCI and IEBC. Who is fooling who? Mwana Chebukati ametoa statement nyingine usiku. Juzi DCI walitoa statement ya almost 50 pages. Okay, and also Smartmatics has confirmed that the gentleman is an employee of Smartmatics for 10 years as a senior global deployer Smartmatic technology. So we want to see how the saga continues to proceed. Masikos Gay, good morning, my brother. Good morning to you. Standing in the gap. Good morning, my friend. Good morning to you, sir. Fundi Sas, Kagamega Town tuned in. Asante sana. Aya, IEBC, DCI, who is fooling on? IEBC, DCI, who is fooling on? I think we start from there. Good morning to you, Arnold.
Morning, how are you?
Salama sana, mambo?
Salama.
Yeah. Yaani unaenda tu unaomba kile carelessly bila kuniambia.
Unajua wewe kama rafiki yangu wa muda mrefu. Najua mume tutoroka tukikampaign, saa hizi mnaona kura zinaishaisha ndio mnatukumbuka.
Bana wapi? Mimi hata nimesikia ujumbe kama surprise bana.
Ule Mungu anaishi mbinguni. Anaona vile marafiki zetu wametuacha tukiteseka saa ya campaign. Alafu saa hizi kiishaisha wanasema kumbe ulikuwa hapa. Ili nyinyi ni wanasiasa tu, Mungu anaona.
Sisi wanasiasa pana.
Sisi tunachapa hapo campaign Dagoretti North. Najaribu kureplace Simbarati. Unajua ninatoka chama cha DAP. DAP nembo yetu ama alama ni chui. Najua kuna kitabu wakati ule tuko primary tuliambiwa tununue, lakini wewe hukununua. Kwa hiyo kitabu mimi ndio nilinunua, na kuna hadithi hapo inasema kuwa simba akitoka chui anatawala. So hapo Dagoretti North Simba ametoka na chui
anatawala.
Anafanya warm up ya kuingia hapo kufanya kazi.
Paka akitoka panya anatawala.
Waachana na hizo, hiyo ni ile kitabu wewe ulinunua. Ile yenye mimi nilinunua ilikuwa inasema hii mambo mengine.
Simba akitoka chui anatawala.
Chui anaingia.
I know the best. So agenda gani uko nayo kwa watu wa Dagoretti kabla tujaenda mambo ya sigamnaga ya Kenya?
Pale Dagoretti North, unajua kazi ya mbunge ni kazi rahisi sana, but we've really complicated these things. Mbunge kazi yake ni kuwakilisha wananchi, as in akusikie na wewe umsikie na alete, as in ni kama pipe ya suluhisho na shida. Kitu cha pili, mbunge aweze kuwa anafanya legislation ama kupitisha sheria, so unataka mtu wako competent kufanya hiyo kazi. Kitu cha tatu ni mbunge kufanya oversight. Hiyo ni kazi kama ya kukuwa watchman. Kusema hii ilikuwa hapa na imesongeshwa hivyo. Sometimes we really want to make these things difficult. Alafu kuna kazi ya nne ambayo mara mingi hatuzungumzii sana, ni kazi ya budget making. Kwa Constitution 2010, Parliament is actually a budget making body. Not a late stage endorser to budget making vile ilikuwa kitambo. Kwa sababu budget inaenda Parliament karibu mara 3. Kwa hivyo kazi yangu kama mbunge ni kuwakilisha tu. Azini kuhakikisha kuwa pale penye huko sauti yako inasikika bunge. Kwa sababu definition ya bunge kwa urahisi sana ni the manifestation of a people as a government. So ukiangalia bunge, you should be able to see people. Of course kuna hii kazi ingine mara mingi tumejaribu kuwapatia wanasiasa hii ya CDF. Hata kama sheria kidogo imebadilishwa mpaka wanafanya kitu inaitwa yeye ni patron. Ukweli kabisa kidemokrasia hiyo sio kazi ya MPs. Lakini kwa sababu tuko nayo tayari, pia unajua kuzungumzia vile unaweza kumanage CDF na vitu kama hizo ni kitu cha muhimu. Lakini mimi na support Azimio. Kile kitu ambacho CDF inajulikana kwayo sana, ukiuliza raia watakwambia ni bursaries. Kwa serikali ya Azimio hata mambo ya bursaries itakuwa, kwa sababu kuanzia nasari mpaka chuo kikuu shule itakuwa free. So hiyo pesa nyingine baki ya CDF tunawapatia petty cash hapa ya kusuluhisha vitu kidogo. Kuna kama tanga hapa hivi, umefungiwa nyumba ama bado uko hapa katikati ya in between jobs, hizo ndio vitu zile tunafanya hapa katikati. So tutasecure hiyo pesa nyingine tufanyie vitu za maana kama reinforce hizi vitu zingine. So but largely on my agenda ya ya kwenda bungeni. Yeah. As a member of parliament, I can't go or rather speak about just the people of Dagoretti North in isolation. Mimi najua kama watu as a people, we've had the first liberation where we got independence from the white man, fought colonialism. The second liberation is actually what is epitomized with the candidature ya Martha na Baba. Pale kwa sababu they were fighting for proper governance. It's of course personified in the Constitution 2010, but the third and final liberation is what is in Article 43, socio-economic empowerment. That you are in a free country, you've got a very robust and transformative constitution and good governance structures kama zile zenye tuko nazo. Pale penye tunaelekea ni kuwa these two things must translate to money in my pocket as a person. Socio-economic empowerment. That cannot be done in isolation ya watu wa Dagoretti. Tuna socio-economic empowerment, ukiangalia Article 43, I will really want to become an Article 43 member of parliament, and I hope that the 13th parliament will actually be very much focused about Article 43. Number one, access to health. Ni kitu kubwa. And we're talking about quality, healthcare, education. Tayari azimio inasema ni bure, but we have to ensure that it's quality. Social welfare, it's a very important thing. Maji. So primarily, I'm just looking at fighting urban poverty, ambayo ni kitu kubwa by the way, urban poverty, and ensuring that we get easy vitu za Article 43. Ukienda kwa Article 43 ni vitu basic. That is why for me, like from where I sit as a public policy person, having worked locally and internationally, I know one thing. I have taken time nikaangalia manifesto ya Azimio na ya Kenya Kwanza. And I can tell you 97% ya zile vitu zenye ziko kwa hizo manifesto, hamna kitu kipya. They are either in the constitution, they are in a policy paper somewhere, it's a project that is running or ama imestall, ama some statute somewhere. 97% of what they are saying
is somewhere.
Is nothing new. What actually we need now at the moment and what should be on the ballot should be leadership. Implement, because if we already have got these things either in vision, in a sessional paper somewhere, in a policy paper somewhere, in a constitution, kwa statute na hizo vitu zingine zote. So what should be on the ballot and what the people should be choosing is leadership. Na leadership iko na vitu vitatu tu. A leader must be caring. Hiyo ni kitu inaitwa empathy. Anakufeel na wewe unamfeel. That is the first C. The second C, a leader must have some character. Nita qualify hiyo kitu ya character later on. At least kuna tabia mzuri. We are not looking for angels, but should have some character. And then the third C, a leader should be competent. You realize I'm not talking about education, I'm talking about competence. Nitakupatia example to ya Mike Sonko. No one can doubt that Mike Sonko is caring. Everybody will tell you that Mike Sonko is caring. Akona empathy. But mkikosana na yeye kidogo kuna vile anaweza kutoa zile vitu zingine aziko, so kidogo unapata hana akona shida na character. Na pia tulimpatia county for example kama governor last time. Instead yeye kukuwa governor akaamua kuwa chairman wa EACC. So that is a problem with competence. So if you're going to look for a leader, the leader must not only be caring, they should have some level of character and they should be competent. And that is what we need in this election. Anything less of that, because whatever we are trying to promise, whatever people are promising, whether ni MCA, ni MP, mpaka president, 97% of those things already exist in some form. What has been the problem has been implementation. The challenge of implementation is two things: either resources, because resources are finite, or number two, because there is lack of leadership. So on this particular ballot, there's not so much that is new. That is why Martha Karua being on the ballot is very exciting. Because hakuna kitu mpya. Raila ni ule ule, Ruto ni ule ule. So what is new?
So you're voting for Martha? So the vote is on Martha?
But well, in Dagoretti North, we are telling young people, tunapigia Baba, Martha na kijana yao. Na mimi ndio kijana.
Baba,
mama na kijana.
Na Roho Mtakatifu.
Baba, mama na mwana.
All right, so on the issues of this, we've been subjected to a serious saga within the political scene between DCI and IEBC. Now, Kenyans, I think, deserve an honest or transparent operations of government, and also information in terms of what does the DCI communicate and what does IEBC as well communicate. Kenyans deserve the truth on all these matters, and they should be accountable. I mean, this system should be accountable. Who is fooling on within the system?
Looking at the exchange between DCI and EACC, for me, it's actually laughable. As a public policy person, I consider myself a government technician. Ule fundi wa serikali, kufinya pale penye serikali na style work. And I'll start first of all from the technical part of it. If you looked at the statement done by DCI and signed by Kinoti himself, that is not a government statement. Mark here as a communication consultant will tell you that statement really from all angles should not come from a government person. On the technical end of it, that was not a government statement, as in from, if you were to look at it. Secondly, let me go to the content and just pick a few things and run with them. If you look at some paragraph there, you realize that DCI, and that is Kinoti having signed it, is actually questioning the tendering process, the competence of the company and the people who are doing there, and everything around that. He's casting aspersions. For a man who should be a sleuth, to get information and verify and go to court and actually jail people. That's why I'm actually saying that statement, he needs to actually allow his communication people and probably get Mark and other people who know how to do government communication properly to sort that. That statement, little bit of your storytelling achane nayo, hizo composition achane nazo. On the other side also, Chebukati should also not be misusing his independence. We know and we hold it that I in IEBC is not silent. So we know they are independent. But the casual manner in which they handled the transportation of stickers is something that should be worrying because it's only the stickers we've actually stumbled on. If then you will ask yourself, how are they handling the other sensitive material? Of course, the stickers are an essential material in the statement they have done at night, of course, all of us. There's nothing so big about barcodes and stickers that you're putting on something to actually trail, or rather to trace them. It's not so much. It's not essential as such. So it's not an essential material. But if they're handling it that way, also then definitely we're going to ask questions. Then how are they handling ballot papers, for example? How are they handling ballot boxes, for example? Then, like a friend of mine, let me give you an example. My friend and I were traveling someday from India, and we boarded a plane. I don't want to mention the airline. Viti zilikuwa zimeraruka. And then of course, being a cheeky man, he akaniguza akaniambia kama hii kiti imeraruka hivi huko kwa engine kuna kaa namna gani? So pale penye atuoni. So the question is, if stickers wanaza handle casually hivi, zile zingine wanaza handle aje? We will definitely ask ourselves. And when it comes to elections as a nation, and we are justified, there is a trust deficiency. We can't trust them 100%. We can't just give them some benefit of doubt when we know that in the past people have mismanaged elections. So the saga in between here, of course, DCI has got a level of overreaching. When you look at his statement, he is not the public procurement, the entity in charge of public procurement, so he should not be questioning the tendering, the competent. There are people to do that. And he should not be taking us through that mind going around. Also giving half stories, for example. For example, there are a few things he should actually just have proved. Issues around the validity of the transport, or rather the passports, for example. So you will actually see the element of him overreaching himself. We don't need the drama between those two agencies, because what it does is that it polarizes the nation, and then we will blame politicians. Chebukati is not a politician. Kinoti is not a politician. But what they are doing in their exchange is that then they are giving politicians fodder. And when anything goes wrong, 100% we will blame politicians. So I think it was so much ado about nothing, because you look at the whole issue, it should actually have been settled very easily. Issues about, for example, passport. A simple run on the internet will actually have informed DCI that first of all, our immigration is not incompetent. When you say that they came here and travel on expired passports,
what are you saying about it?
What are you saying about the immigration department? And you actually want to say that Turkey, where they transitioned through, somehow Turkey, we are smarter than Turkey, and that then DCI that are not in charge of immigration are actually smarter than the immigration people who allowed these guys in. So a few things here and there. That's why I actually said that on the technical end, I'm told Kinoti does his own statements, which is actually wrong. He needs somebody to actually handle that. So I think on both ends, it's a small matter, but it's a worrying issue.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't actually blow it out of proportion and actually, like I said, they're giving politicians a lot of fodder. And when things go south, we will blame politicians.
Yeah. That's a thing. All right, good morning to you, Mark Bichachi. And congratulations for waking up early.
No, I almost fell back asleep.
Pongezi sana. I think even your body must be shocked that you're shocked.
I usually wake up early. I just have a lot of things on my desk.
It's a very least you kept your word and you said today you'll be here before 7:30.
I was here before you. You know, I was here before you. No, he's acting. I was here before him. I was welcoming him to his own office.
Yes, he was here before me and I'm very proud of Mark Bichachi today. He's done as well. Ukiendelea hivi hata naona kama Kenya hata itakuwa na deni. So wewe uliamua uwezi omba kiti. Kama kila mtu ambaye ameingia takola anaomba kiti.
You know, let me tell you something. I am convinced that I can make a very good leader, but I don't think I can make a good campaigner. You know, Arnold has talked about himself, baba mama na mwana mtakatifu. You know, I am not sure I can give a speech of more than 1 minute about myself. You know, it's campaigning, I think, takes courage and it takes a lot of boldness that I am not sure I have yet. Maybe when I grow a bit older, I'll develop the kahunas that my good friend Arnold here has. But campaigning for me, kwanza in Kenya, mimi nienda kuimba TB mtialala, wembe ni ule. You know, or I go the route away of calling people tapeli every day, or go to. I just can't do those things. You know, it's just so hard for me. That's why. I don't know how to run for office. So we are not going to find you one of these fine days that you're running for office. Maybe I might grow up. Maybe I'm still young. Maybe I'll grow up, and because I think I have a lot to offer in terms of leadership. It's just campaigning, my friend. Hapo ndio sijui. I don't know how to do it. Yeah.
All right, straight to IEBC and DCI, the saga we've seen. I think we are being subjected to a very unnecessary drama. Okay, if you ask me, that's what I think. What do you think?
Well,
and what is the consequence of this?
And let me tell you, there's a little tenet in how elections are envisioned to be run in this country, and it's called transparency, right? So you've got an accountable election, a verifiable election, and a transparent election process. Now, transparency means, and I'll take it as a communications person, transparency means that there needs to be a clear line of sight between the public, the various agencies involved, and what IEBC is doing. Now, the fact that they need to clarify post facto what they are doing is very worrying. And I'll tell you, in as much as it may seem like a trivial issue, it's trivial if nothing nefarious is being done. But it's not trivial if you consider that these stickers then officially identify a kit as a KIMS kit. Right? And if I take that sticker and I have made my own KIMS kit in my house, or have imported a KIMS kit from Rwanda, then possibly I have a route of entry into the IEBC system using my own system. And these are the worries that exist. Now, of course, how it's been handled by both agencies is ridiculous, because instead of talking to each other, they keep treating us to midnight letters every day, as though they are estranged lovers who can't talk to each other. And that's the problem. They're acting like spoiled girlfriends and boyfriends when you're walikosania juu ya supu at the dining hall at campus. So the issue is that for me, it may seem trivial, but I don't take it as trivial because of the implications it has. You see, politics is about perception. Okay. And perception informs political reality. So if the perception is that IEBC is doing things behind the knowledge of, one, the political actors, two, the public itself, and three, the police, then this should be issues. And then, of course, let me tell you, even if you're bringing in pencils written IEBC, I promise you need to tell people, listen, there are pencils that are coming in, they're going to do this, because at the end of the day, this country has suffered trauma at the hands of IEBC. Okay. Let's not forget people keep thinking that people started complaining about elections recently. 1992, we complained about elections. 1997, Mwai Kibaki was in court for a very long time about elections and how the electoral body had handled elections. 2002, by the way, is the only year on record where we did not have a presidential petition. Let's just be honest. 2007, 2013, 2017, we've had issues, and Kenyans have trauma with electoral bodies. The late Kivuitu, on his deathbed, literally said that to the time he was dying, he was not sure who won the 2007 elections. Okay. So you cannot take the position of the IEBC and take it as a trivial matter. Let me tell you, even if they were bringing in tissue paper, if that tissue paper was branded with IEBC at this time, my friend, and it was caught, let me tell you, they will tell you these tissue papers magically turn into ballot boxes. So for me, my advice is, first and foremost, stop the love letters between the two agencies. But secondly, IEBC, please declare everything that is coming into the country, including telling us why you can't print stickers in this country. You get, so that we have a full scope and a full view of things, because I can assure you, politicians on either side will make use of this fodder that the IEBC is giving them for free. And I keep saying it's the IEBC because I am telling you, Kinoti would not have written that letter if IEBC had said, listen, there's stickers coming into the country to identify Kim's kids. It would have been done. And that is the job of the IEBC, transparency. Okay. You get, otherwise, Kinoti will keep writing us poems. Yeah, I can assure you.
But also, what does that say about Kinoti? Does it not then expose the incompetence of DCI? No, because they are also fumbling through the whole thing.
Can I tell you one thing? And here's the interesting thing about this country. When DCI communicates on social media, and the stories they give us, it was midnight on the 22nd of October when a dark force entered an apartment building.
It was one chilly evening.
Yes. So let me ask you, and this is the problem. You can't have your cake and eat it too. On one hand, when it's about thugs and robbers, we applaud Kinoti for communicating thus. Then when it's about IEBC, we now want to question the same thing. No, we need to have one story as far as how the sleuths in this country communicate. Either they go the official route and only communicate official things, or we continue enjoying their stories on Twitter, because when we enjoy those stories, we are giving them a precedent saying that Kenyans actually enjoy this storytelling type of thing. And we need to decide. And if you enjoy the storytelling, because it's the first time the DCI is getting attention in this country. Previously, we used to know them for Walikuja na Kinini, Kipurukututu. That's what we used to know them for. But now, at least we know them for actually doing their work. So it's
which work now?
No, the stories that they tell, people have actually interacted with it, and it's how Kenyans know that so and so has been arrested. So there is a function to it. I don't support it. I don't think that's how they should tell their stories. But that's what we've.
But even it's not even about the story. The way they tell the story. It's the facts in the story. Where are the facts? The facts are in doubt.
And
that's what Arnold is even raising. He's saying
my issue, the way they communicate, and that is why I actually say that I think it's time DCI embraced proper corporate communications.
That's what we
best
mean.
But even the facts, I'm wondering about the facts.
That's what I'm actually talking about.
The way they say now, okay.
Whatever they do online has no equivalence anywhere, especially for an agency of their nature. Why I say so is that if you ever audited, and I think that is something, a challenge I actually need to give to organizations out there, especially those that are interested in social justice, we need to do an audit of the stories as told on social media by DCI, vis-a-vis the convictions they get in court. Because DCI does not exist to actually gale us with tales. That is not why they exist. Secondly, we have seen the facts and figures that they splash, and then how charge sheets then read in court. They are worlds apart. It's either they pick up and actually embrace best practices, even for corporate communication.
Yes.
They need to, because DCI does not exist for fiction. Because, sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. But I can tell you the fiction as done by the DCI communication team, whatever they are, the storytellers at DCI, are actually surprising. And you realize that even those statements that sometimes are signed by the boss himself don't look so far. For example, I'll give you an example. When the whole boss of an investigation agency of DCI's nature, that's the premier agency we have for investigation, right? At least the public ones we know. We know NIS, we know DCI. But of course, as a nation, no one will ever tell you that we probably have got much more than that. Yes. Of course, there's DMI, there's always a layer. Countries have got ways of actually having their own way. So Kenya, like any other country, has got another layer of other guys who do this work separately. But the thing is that if the director of criminal intelligence of a country can actually come off and look as informed as the statement he did the other day, talking about immigration, for example, saying that these people travel on expired
passports.
For example, I think that's not a gaffe, and he took time and did acres and acres and acres. What else has he gotten wrong in the past?
But Arnold, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
This is where you get it wrong. Let's look at how police investigate anything, right? The preliminary report encompasses everything. When you walk into a crime scene, you look at the cockroaches and see whether they have eaten parts of the body. You look at where the body is lying. You look at the blood splatter. You look at the missing knives. So what they did is they put all their queries in one document and they sent it. Why? Because we have taught them as a public that we like those stories. Now, what I'm saying is this, that number one, the DCI needs to make a decision as to whether they want to communicate at a preliminary stage of their investigations when they have not even Googled about passports, or do it later. Now, the habit has been, and it's a habit that Kenyans continually applaud.
Breaking news habit.
Yes, and it's something that needs to break. And the only way that it breaks is if the DCI first, and this is important, begins to understand its role between itself and the DPP. That's an issue that they have. Number two is to understand what is actually doing public good. For them, what they should say and where it should end. It should be, and if you can look at, I think American police do this very well. We've arrested certain people. We are looking at a number of leads. These are the questions we are asking. We will update when we have further information. There's nothing wrong with saying that. But at the end of the day, please understand, there is a big problem, and I'm saying this for the upteenth time. IEBC should be transparent as well.
I actually need to bring this home. The statement by DCI Kinoti is not a preliminary report. That was actually his attempt at doing a summary of what had been going on. It was not a signal. You know what they sent out, the initial report, that this is what we found out. He goes and states matter-of-factly that these guys travel on. What was so difficult with him? Just calling the immigration, for example. And but the one thing I love about the immigration people is that they've kept quiet. They thought that this is childish. They didn't respond to it. If you look at IBC's statement at night, it makes Kinoti's statement look foolish. They made it brief, spoke to the points, and stopped at that. You look at the 11-page statement the DCI boss did, and what some communication, probably a junior officer at IEBC has done in response to that. You can actually see the difference. And that's why I still insist, somebody needs to stop them, because DCI is sensationalist. This is not the first time, and they love to actually appear like they are doing something even when they are doing it wrongly. For example, what is this obsession with putting the anti-terror police unit literally in everything? You are fighting Mike Sonko over some forgery thing, you bring in a TPU. That is abuse. We are localizing these people. We are making them so obvious that even terrorists will not be afraid of them. When you unleash a TPU on Mike Sonko, You unleash ATPU on any other person. To just go and break into an office where you find things, you are unleashing ATPU. What is the problem with these guys? As in, there's a level, there's a lot of sensationalism within DCI. There's a lot of professionalism, at least in the way they do things. Their communication is terrible. The way they are fighting literally everybody else. They are fighting DCI on the other side. They are fighting every other agency. So, it is time Kinoti decided to either be the boss of criminal intelligence or be a mercenary in the hands of politicians, because he does a lot of matter. He comes off as a mercenary at the beck and call of political billing, and that is wrong. He's actually bastardizing a very serious unit. I've just given you an example of ATPU. What is this obsession with everything? You are giving them to ATPU. We have got immigration police, for example. There's a department that can deal with that. But then you get some few guys, and by the even as they were telling those guys to report to ATPU, blah, blah, and everything else, the Venezuelans were busy training IEBC staff and stakeholders in Naivasha. They give you very worrying statements. But then on the other side, that is not the truth. It's time they stopped doing this sensationalization. This sensationalism is what actually pushes us to the edge of the night. It is unfair. This guy should go back and just do his damn work. We love the way they do their work when they decide to do their work. But this love affair with the media and sensationalism does not help the force, does not help even the public. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Someone has reminded about Abbas Luguna saying, I remember the David President arms procurement drama. How far have the DCI gone? What have you come on?
Well, how are we supposed to answer?
This guy, DPP should respond to that. But that's what I'm actually telling you. Somebody should commission an audit on the update stories that DCI has done on social media. And how those cases have fared in court. This, as in, we actually need to see how DPP is faring with those cases. Because you see, they're also lynching people. DCI a lot of times is actually involved in mob justice, just done creatively. So going out there and doing all those things. Yet, if you look at the statement submitted by Abdullahi to DCI, for example, giving his side of the story, he gives a clear link plus documentation on how he is related to IEBC, to Smartmatic, and to the Venezuelans. But in the statement that is done by DCI, all those are deliberately and conveniently left out. What kind of fact finding is that? Even a story has got two sides. A basic journalist, you do journalism, you've done journalism, and he's a communication consultant here. Even a story, while you are writing it, you always give equal opportunity to both sides. He gave us his side. We cannot be doing that kind of communication, especially for a sensitive department. Like what they do every time. And that is why actually the fight against corruption has not really gone so far. The way they handle it, we cannot politicize, we cannot trivialize the way we handle these matters. Some of these matters are so sensitive. It's about people's careers, it's about people's lives.
But you see, the thing is, on the fight against corruption, we also need to be fair to our agencies. I think the Asset Recovery Agency has done a brilliant job in terms of how much money it's been able to bring back. 35 billion is a record, to be honest.
Have you seen what they have done on their social media?
No, see, that's what I mean.
Yes.
I'm commending them because they've done a good job and they've also kept their communication tight. The DCI, in fact, in the entire ecosystem, whether you look at the ODPP, Asset Recovery, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, they've kept it very clean and tight. And the reason why the DCI is acting the way it is because we've created a platform where they, and this is how it is. In fact, they did a whole piece on these three boys who tweet on behalf of I should not call them boys, they're men. These three men who tweet on behalf of the DCI, and we made them into heroes. Now you see, and please understand human psychology. When we come to your show, The Tackle, there's a way you do it. You come and you pray, and there are people who love that you pray. You do traffic. There are people who love that you do traffic, and then you speak in that Gerald talk very fast but very clear way. You should have been a rapper, and that's your thing, right? So if someone came and told you that professionally what should happen is A, B, C, D, there would be a degree of resistance. Now, I'm not holding brief for DCI, but I'm saying we need to decide how we want them to communicate. Do they go the asset recovery way? And how asset recovery talks is very interesting. They will never say, we're looking into Arnold to see where he got money. No, no, no. They will come and say, we have frozen Arnold's assets because we found A, B, C, D, and we called him and he was unable to explain, which means they're talking about their cases at an advanced stage where they've actually taken action and they feel that they have a justifiable case before a judge to be able to actually freeze these assets. That is the difference. And we need to be very clear that the fight against corruption is a multi-pronged thing. And if we simply discredit it because of gaffes that Kinoti has made, then my fear is we will erode the progress we are doing in the fight against corruption, which needs to be recognized as well.
Okay. I spoke about bastardizing the whole fight against corruption because the person then the public listens to a lot of times because of the platform they've created is the DCI. And the way they actually create the stories, and then you look at the charge sheets, you want to think DPP is not working or EACC is not working.
But DPP has said they end up with cases in court that cannot stand for time.
In the multi-agency that is actually dealing with these issues, the security multi-agencies, the setup, that ecosystem, like he calls it, for me, the weakest link is actually DCI. Because sometimes they come out very pompous. And as they come up with big words and everything else, showing off big guns, bringing in guys in hooded. You know, you're just going to get hold of a small boy somewhere who's just caused a problem. And you're showing up with guys. So we are deploying assets that should actually be facing towards the nation's greatest enemies. Then you take ATPU and you are deploying them in a mediocre way, and then the guy goes to court and he's cleared on the first instance. We end up asking, why then was it so much about show? What was that drama about? We should stop these kids. In that particular sector, you know, well, the first definition in Counterintelligence 101, the definition of a spy is very basic. Is anyone, anywhere, doing anything at any particular time. They don't have to come off looking like, you know this drama, this Hollywood way of doing things. Even the Americans themselves don't do that.
Arnold, who has taught the DCI to do these things?
Why should we? Between the public, you.
Yes.
And DCI, who should know their work?
Can I explain to you something? Please understand that a lot of the DCI are not communications people. And the three people who were interviewed on Twitter are people who do social media. And social media likes drama.
I thought I spoke badly. I realized he's speaking worse.
But I'm just being clever about what I'm saying. What I'm trying to explain to Arnold, and he's not
social media.
Listen. If you hire Huda Monroe to be your social media expert, would you be surprised if it's all sexy pictures?
Nudity.
On your profile? No. Because that's what has made her great. So these three guys who do that comms, what do you expect them to do?
But boy, I think, Mark, you're losing the thing here. For me, I'm not even worried about all these guys are saying it. Even if they can type in lawyer or lawyer, that is fine. But I'm worried about the facts in these communication statements. That's where my problem is. Because clearly there's a big disconnect.
But here's the thing. And
it's all movie.
Let me tell you, here's the thing. And let me explain again so that we understand each other. Any material coming into the country labeled IEBC would raise a flag. If today in this office we found a bottle of water written IEBC election water, right? We would all be worried in this office. That's number one. And we need to be clear that the IEBC is operating under very difficult conditions. What are those conditions? Number one, their history. Okay, not just as a Chebukati commission, but as a commission by and large throughout the history of elections in this country. That's number one. Number two, they are working in an environment where it is a transition. Definitely for a fact, come the end of this year, if there's a runoff or whatever, we will have a new president, and that causes tensions. Number 3, you're also working in an environment where both sides have claimed, both of the leading sides have claimed that there is a possibility of rigging. Whether it's William Ruto and his 800,000 supporters that were deleted from the registry, or it is Raila Odinga saying if there is no manual, there is no election. So you're operating in such an environment. Now, let me simplify it so you understand. It is like your wife or your husband caught you cheating, and then they decided to give you a second chance. My friend, if you are in the toilet for longer than 15 minutes, you must explain. If you have to stay at work instead of leaving at 5, you're going to leave at 5:10, you must explain. Why? Because when trust is lost, it must be rebuilt. And I do not want to let the kind of writing that comes from the DCI to downplay the very real need for IEBC to realize the communication standpoint they live in. They need to be in a place where they are oversharing. They need to be able to say to the newspapers and to the media every day at 3 o'clock, today we are expecting to receive ABCD. Tomorrow we will have. That's what IEBC needs to do, and that's a minimum, and that's not a partisan position, it's a Kenyan position. Every Kenyan should have a line of sight on the IEBC, and the more information they share, the better. That's number 1. But number two, did the DCI overreact on this particular issue? Yes, they did. But we've created an environment for them to overreact. And I'm not saying that they should continue to do so. What I'm saying is this, that the DCI needs to take a step back and make a decision. And what is that decision? When will they be communicating? And I think the point of communication for them is when the office of the DPP has chosen to prefer charges against the people they are investigating. Okay. So that now we have a place where another agency has checked and said the threshold for evidence to be submitted to a judicial process has been met.
All right. And wrapping up on that, you have...
In the words of Paul the Apostle, he loved to use the word finally brethren. So my finally brethren in this particular issue is in 2 phases. First of all, we also have to accept this, that normally the state has got a 360 look or control of an election process. That's what has happened at least in 2013 and in 2017. But one thing happened that is actually bringing us here. One morning, when a lot of people were busy arguing with what was in court and no one was expecting anything unconventional, Chebukati reached out to the people who should know and told them, we are expecting ballot papers. It shocked everybody, including the people within the state. Mark works with a few of them and he will tell you that he knows that it surprised people.
I didn't know.
I'm also shocked. Where do I work again?
Mark is a consultant, and we people who do consultancy work for so many people. So I know out of client confidentiality he might not speak, but I'll tell you the truth.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
So
being honest,
that morning when IEBC woke up and told people that we have got ballot papers, and no one, I'm telling you, no one expected it. It shocked even commissioners themselves. That is the day everybody started getting worried. And of course, the IEBC is independent. I know, and I've said that before, that the eye is not silent. That is why we're having all these problems. So a few exuberant actors within the state want to overreach themselves, like DCI, for example, and appear like they are working. Every time we get into an election cycle, we have seen instances where segments of the security agencies go raiding houses. You remember in 2013, a number of offices being raided. In 2017, there were offices that were raided again. You remember them saying that they were rigging material here. And those cases never go anywhere. You remember the offices that were being raided in the run-up to 2017. This is where they were planning to overthrow government and all of manner of sensationalism. People are trying to earn a call-up in the Hall of Fame, or rather respect for what they did for a regime that is coming in, when they really didn't do anything really respective. So it's important to remind public servants, whether they're in the police, they are working for any particular department, that their first fidelity is to the Republic of Kenya, to the constitution of this country, even before they talk about the administration of the day. I know the administration of the day sometimes, or most times, is actually the people who actually end up appointing people. But I need to say this. We are not downplaying what IEBC did, especially by transporting election material in briefcases and stuff. But I also do not want to think that that was not strategy to keep it away from other people who are prying. Because when, quote unquote, you're going to ship in these stickers correctly, we know, and we must say this, that the state and administrations in the past have also not been very faithful. So when you bring in, you ship them in marked clearly IEBC. What tells you that some other people elsewhere will not have the first access? You know, the intelligence agencies, for example, they are the first contact to anything. They see it, they have it, they have got access to things that way before sometimes what's supposed to get to you, they have it before it gets to you. So, could that have been a strategy by IEBC? We can also not rule out, but we think that that was a casual way. Even if it was a strategy, it was a foolish strategy to go about that. But I would still insist that the way DCI is handling it, and that is why I actually want to commend IEBC for actually, if you look at the statement that was done last night, very professional cut. It moves away from that emotional kind of statement initially Chebukati was doing, or rather was signing against. The statement done last night is actually very professional. It moves away from these mumbo jumbo that is full of emotions over nothing. They can come clear. One of those things they need to do is to tell us that they will not use those stickers, they can use any other stickers. Over and above, what is the rocket science about barcodes and QR codes? There's nothing special about it. So it's okay, they've told us that those are non-essential material, they can go further and even print locally. Mark asked why we can't print stickers locally. The challenge is obvious, is that we have got a trust deficiency against each other. In this country, no one trusts the other one. So we would rather bring in people from outside who are doing ordinary things. We print our money on Thika Road, by the way.
Yeah.
We print money on Thika Road. But somehow, even IEBC cannot print, even Delaru can't print our ballot papers because, quote unquote, we think that they have to be printed somewhere, that a ballot paper has to have more security features than a currency note. You know, that is madness. But you see, democracy is a process. There's going to be a day when we will get there. That we will actually have ballot papers. And if you've traveled, and I think Mark has actually done a little bit of that also, you will actually realize that in other jurisdictions, ballot papers are just black and white. You can just photocopy. So these things of going around making these elections so technical
and expensive.
Is out of the trust deficiency that we have in each other. On the day we then learn to trust each other, and those we give responsibility also show that they are competent, they have got a little bit of character, then our elections will get cheaper. Our elections are expensive because we don't trust each other. That's the only reason. Otherwise, there is nothing special about a ballot paper having a lot of security features. In very developed democracies, ballot papers are just black and white. As in, unaweza enda kwa photocopy hapo karibu na duka yako na upige, and no one steals those elections. We need to get to that particular level. So Kinoti and Chebukati should cut us the crap. They are polarizing the nation for nothing. And even the politicians who are responding to them should ignore them and to tell them to man up. They should stop. You know, it's like a boys thing when we were young, fighting over nothing. We are fighting over those balls we used to make. These was a karatasi. These balls are juala. Because Kinoti wants to appear like he's working. Even when he doesn't know what he's doing, they are quoting very funny stuff. And IEBC wants to sensationalize. They are here harassing us again. We don't want to get that level. This, for me, honestly, looks like the most transparent election we're going to have. Because first of all, our election is normally manual. It's not digital. Only results transmission. IEBC has, out of the lessons learned in 2017, refused that they will not use the alphanumeric digits that come in from the polling stations. But they will wait for the images that are sent from there. Because the results at the polling station are actually final. And what is a polling station? I have seen guys talk about polling stations that do not exist. Also, I think the communication strategy by IEBC they've done very well, but there are elements where they need to actually tell people. What you call a polling station is what normally, long time ago, we used to call the stream. It is that classroom. It is that particular tent. It's that particular place where you will cast. The results declared in that particular classroom or that particular tent are final. And we are not going to send numbers or figures. We are going to send that particular form that is signed on. That is what IEBC will actually use. Not the alphanumeric where you're in this particular bit, we say Mark has actually scored 100 votes, you scored 3, I scored 5, and then we send them in alphanumeric form. No, we will have to take an image, and that is what IEBC will use. That's why you realize they say that the results will be a little bit delayed, because they will have to verify with the images and not run with the numbers they used to run with, because that is what was actually causing a lot of tension in the past. So I think we are moving very well. These elections are actually going to be very transparent. IEBC has done much more than necessary. You also have not seen what the ORPP has done, the Office of the Register of Political Parties. The training agents reaching out. So much has been done to ensure that these elections are not just verifiable, transparent, but we are not communicating enough of what IEBC has done and other agencies that are supporting that. These elections will be very transparent, because you do not expect an election where Raila and Ruto are in and you try to do monkey business with it. It's not possible. Those two people are alphas, and you know it's going to be very difficult for anyone to play with these games. Also, I just need to actually bring to fore this. That, do you know how difficult it is to rig this election? The only way you can rig this election is after voting and with a manual register. But
without a manual register, you cannot.
And then there is no difference between a manual register and a digital register. You remember that question being asked in the Supreme Court last time?
And they said we print from the digital.
We print that particular. That's why. So it is so difficult to this. Probably you need to host IEBC here so that they tell guys how. It is so difficult to read this election.
I'm saying BICHACHI is getting a bit impatient. I think he has a meeting that he's going to.
Yes.
Since he woke up early today now, he's going also to leave early.
No, I have
zero-sum game.
I have a dozen meetings today, but let me just say this.
I think you speak on the, we speak on the presidential debate that's coming up. Raila Odinga has pulled out of it, or Azimio. Amesema sisi, I cannot stand with William. What do you expect is going to happen tonight? Any value for Mwananchi? If Raila shows up, what is in for him? If it doesn't, what are the consequences?
First, let me say that Arnold has made a very clear case for what I was saying before, that the IEBC needs to clarify and be very clear about what the voting process is and how they have firewalled and protected the entire process against any interference. The line of communication and the lines of transparency that are needed in the IEBC cannot be understated, cannot be ignored by in any way, shape or form. Secondly, the issue of Azimio pulling out of the debate. I think for me, the debate organizers needed to have held debates that were a bit tighter. The gubernatorial debate first tolerated the bad manners of a candidate showing up late, and that was not an issue. The second debate had someone who had a Mwakenya literally pulling out papers in the middle of the debate, and someone asks, how did they know what questions were going to be asked that they had a Mwakenya in advance? So for me, I think the debate team has really shot themselves in the foot by virtue of the latitude that they gave to different vice presidential and gubernatorial candidates. That being said, and I know this will be unpopular, I think that Raila Odinga should have gone to that debate. Right? I think he should have gone because...
Or he should go. What's not finished yet? We're not done the debate. So maybe you say he should go.
For me, it's a done deal. But I think he should go. And the reason why I think he should go is we should inculcate a culture in this country where our leaders are willing to answer questions, that our leaders are willing to put themselves out there and be able to be accountable to the masses. And I think it should not end with just the debates. I think that we should form a habit moving forward that every a president, governor should have town halls and debates every month or so, just to update the country on how things are doing. I know the Constitution says that the State of the Nation should be given once a year, but that's a minimum. I think we should have 3 or 4 of those in a year, because there's nothing wrong with communicating. In fact, the whole idea of communicating will actually work better for people who are going to look for re-election, because the people will know what you're doing. And government is big. Government is big. Unfortunately, in this country, government keeps quiet, and then opposition runs amok, giving all sorts of information, misinformation, and disinformation, that now the government is always defending itself because it did not talk fast. So for me, I think Raila should have gone, and I think that we should actually create where a president and a governor gives a state of this county or a state of the country every quarter. You know, these are things that should happen. Why not? Why do we treat communication as though it is this big horrible thing? You know, and for me that's what needs to happen.
Because you're running, I just need to say this, that at the core of leadership is communication. Without which there is no leadership.
All right. Thank you so much, Mark. All the very best in your day. Wacha tuendelee kuangana na mheshimiwa hapa. Mbunge wetu wa Dagoretti. Unajua hizo MP.
No, you guys are Kibra.
Kumaliza utatugonya. Unabega kitu.
Hapo mnataka kunipanga. Hapa mko Kibra. Na ni lazima ni verify mnavote wapi kabla tuone vile tunawafungua. We untie you.
Okay, you untie us. Gonya us, bwana. All right. Van Dizas, Kakamega Town Tuesday. Thank you, Denvasoma Okari. Good morning from Helsinki. Seven Jenga, who should communicate to Kenyans about sensitive issue? The IG or the DCI? Okay. Van Dizaga Simba Netaya. I don't know what does that mean. I'm not sure. I think you might be knowing it. Feife, good morning to you. Cyrus Wanchiku, Jera Bitogo, your volume is low. Yes, I think that was suggested. AS Olekoipa, good morning to you. Cyrus Wanchiku, Chujo. Peter Mabudi, good morning to you. Mera. Kinot is working for Asmio to help discredit the IEBC. What benefit are the theatrics of DCI on this matter? Let the IEBC do its work. Let's stop blowing a small issue out of proportion. Even entering an aircraft on an international flight with an expired passport is impossible. There's security at the doorstep. Okay. But you're going to remember the deputy president, I think we read that, Abraham Onguti, agree with Arnold. How can DCI give a report excluding the main idea of mathematics, just defending themselves? That's why DCI providing corruption cases without full investigation, and this is what we must begin this kind of independent entity. Arobito logged in from Doagu to see Osoro Maboka. Unless you are entering your plan, that's absolutely nonsense. Is the government meeting with IEBC? On the Borobi Kiber watching from Egerton, please tell Kenda Bichachi to let IEBC do its constitutional mandate. Let DCI be known it's a busybody. Abbas Juguna, their cases are designed to fail in court, but the agenda of painting the negative images of the character of the public, of their suspects, would have been achieved. Okay, Collins Kibet, tuned in from Kapsawar in Elgeyo Marakwet County. Great discussion. Our democracy is growing. We need peace and trust on IEBC. IEBC should communicate and clear any rumors and allegations against them. I believe we will have a very transparent election on 9th August. Yes. Amos Mbogwa, tuned in from the city of Nottingham, UK. Good to see you, Mbogwa from Nottingham, United Kingdom. Jonathan Kipkimoy. Why are you people obsessed with Bichachi? I was to watch Bichachi wakosea nini. About to Bichachi, all questions are shared to the candidates in advance. They go into venue well informed. Okay. Masidwa Johnson Isaac, is Mark Bichachi insinuating that DCI is not principled? Okay. It's not yet to answer that, but I've read it. Collins Kibet, what more Kenya, Mr. Bichachi? That was a Gazette notice of 2019. Let them square. Dr. William Ruto is ready. Raila should show up, talk of the ideas to us, and give a broad breakdown of how Ruto is giving us solutions. These as mere people who wear blue call themselves Democrats, yet clearly sabotage the democratic process. I think it's rude and disrespectful of the voters. Even Hillary Clinton debated Trump despite his character, even though all said was winning times 100. Okay. All right. On YouTube as well, let me look at what's going on YouTube. Good morning to John Goge. DCI is trivializing IEBC issue. Atticus now, good morning, Gerald. I saw your interview on Price FM. Very impressed with your response and posture throughout. The future is bright with strong, smart, and youthful Kenyans like yourself. Thank you so much, Atticus, now all the way from the United Kingdom. Good to see you. Thank you. And those are both DCI and IEBC have earned their share of misgivings, but going forward, they need to work together behind the scene and save us the public spot. Okay, I agree with you. Atticus now, Aki Bichachi is on rent. seeking mode. And okay, Amona, he must have his slice of the election cycles cake. These election lawyers are already preparing for the flood of litigation that will come post-vote. Okay, someone told me you don't say after elections, you say after petitions. You say after election petitions. That is, you don't plan around after elections. You after elections, takulipa ile pesa yako. Same after petitions.
After petitions.
Like Bruta, at the core of leadership is communication. Without which there is no leadership. Do you think that Raila pulling out is a strategy to force Ruto under prepare to attend? Or is a strategy to allow the media to have all the time to fry Ruto? Okay. Because regarding pulling out, Raila is unable. Pulling out. Okay. Pulling out. Okay. Raila is unable to stand for long periods. Remember, he's an old man. Ruto would run rings around him. I hope the state does not play games like it usually does on each election. Okay. All right. That's guys from the United Kingdom. Articles from the United Kingdom. We remain with ARNOLD Maliba as Mark BICHACHI has rushed to attend to matters of the state. Okay. Mark, on the pulling out and pulling in. Do you think Raila Odinga will show up?
I know you call me Mark, and I think that is you forgot. I think, like Mark, I also believe that it's unfair for the right Honorable Raila Odinga to actually pull out of these debates. But can I do the pragmatics first and then get to the real issue?
Yes.
So from the pragmatics point of view, is that Raila has stood for accountability for years. He's stood and is known for one person who actually pushes for accountability, leaders being accountable, speaking to the people, and he has never shied away from actually like even confronting the evils. So tactically, I think Raila still has got an edge over this particular debate. He has got a grasp of his issues. Forget the social media preachers of heresies here and there about why he can't stand for long. This man is doing a national campaign, running all over. Some of these people who are saying here, wake up in the morning, go to the office, come back in the evening, and they're very tired for sitting on a chair. Here is a man who's actually constantly traveling, constantly addressing people, and we've not seen him look like he's a man who's even fatigued. So the place of whether he has got the health software to actually get where he is a debate that cannot actually even be subjected to this particular platform. So I still have got a feeling that Raila will attend the debate tomorrow.
Okay. Is it tomorrow or tonight?
Tonight, I mean.
Yes, Tuesday, yes.
Yes. I still have got a feeling that he could actually have a last-minute change of heart and then attend. But now getting into the politics of it, that's why actually I'm now here, away from the pragmatics, let's talk about the politics of it. In 2017, President Uhuru Kenyatta and Deputy President William Ruto refused to attend the presidential debates.
Okay.
They wanted to use that, of course, and they justified why they wouldn't get there. So those people who actually were asking to attend and who did attend the presidential debate are the ones who are now refusing to attend this year. Okay. So it's like a merry-go-round. It's a revolving door. Where Raila in 2017 was challenging Uhuru to come to the debate. And Uhuru refused to attend. This time round, Raila says he will not attend. And William Ruto, who actually said he is being manipulated to attend the debate, the deputy presidential debate, then now says he is ready to attend. It's tactical. It's for everybody appearing. You know, the debates in and of themselves, at least in our political culture, do not change much. Okay. But they give us an opportunity to get a deeper understanding of the leaders we are choosing, to get a close-up a look into the issues, their grasp of issues, how their comport and everything around the issues they present and sell to us. Because a lot of times in rallies, it's so difficult. I'm doing a campaign and I'll tell you it's so difficult to even sit down and elucidate your campaign manifesto to our people. You come in and people really want you to rush through the issues. So probably you take care of a few other issues that for them sometimes, and I need to say this actually on show, if we do not say these things, then probably we will not be helping our nation. Currently, if you are campaigning, the only policy that is fluently spoken on the ground is money.
Pesa.
Yes.
Hakuna story ingine.
The only strategy that is fluently and effectively working on the ground is money. The only
That's the language wananchi understand.
The only tactics that work and excite the ground, again, I need to repeat, is money. So a lot of times during the political noise that are the usual way of doing our campaigns, people do not get the opportunity to actually interrogate the issues and everything else. So when we do debates, a structured debate where then we go issue by issue by issue or a thematic area, then we get an opportunity as a nation to tap into the vision of these leaders and their understanding and everything else. But normally it doesn't change. At least if data is anything to go by, there is research. I need to actually remember what it is. It is that up to 80% of the people make up their mind on whom they will vote for president 2 years before an election. That is in Kenya. From 2002, at least since 2007, people have made up their decision. The largest part of the population make their decision on whom they will vote for president at least 2 years before election. There are very few people who have decided to vote for Ruto just because they watched Martha and Gachagua. There are very few people who say that now after watching Martha and Gachagua, they now have decided to vote for Raila. It just strengthens the positions that people already hold. Very few people actually change their mind. So in and of themselves, the debate, at least the presidential debates, don't change much. Because the reasons why people vote a lot of times have nothing to do with the issues why we go to elections. So Raila moving away, of course, it's a statement. And even by him refusing to go, it's a statement. He has got the political rights, his Article 38 rights actually.
It's also his right because even him running away from the debate is in the constitution.
He is actually entitled to choose not to participate. And that is him actually expressing his political rights. But that he chooses where to be, he chooses what to associate with and everything around that. But I think he is doing an injustice to the nation by moving away. The funny bit of it is how you look at how the populace behaves. The very populace that were mocking William and Uhuru for not showing up in the debate in 2017 are now justifying why Raila should not attend in this particular one. You will then ask them, what has changed? What new thing has William done between 2017 and 2022 that then makes him unworthy of debating Raila when it was actually prudent then in 2017 for him to actually come and do it. I still believe Raila is one of the best debaters, by the way. If you are actually going to look at the content, not just the eloquence and everything else. I have had an opportunity, as a young person today, I've had an opportunity to look at Tomboya in his early years. I've looked at Kibaki's speeches when he was younger, in his 30s. And you will actually see a fluent, eloquent, and sharp young man. The Kibaki I met when he became president was an incoherent person. The only thing I knew is that he was economically sharp. But you wouldn't see the sharpness in his speech. So if you're going to judge a leader just by his speech, and Raila now is a man who is actually a man beaten of age. He's a veteran of very many debates. He's been there. He's had a sharp tongue. I saw guys even trying to actually mock Martha. Martha has been there. She's a veteran of these debates. She stood there. When the nation wanted liberators for the second liberation, she was present. For those of us who are judging them, where were we? Where have we stood in the defense of any major cause for the nation? We have not been there. We are even being given an opportunity to go to elections, and we are going to vote on account of people, how they look like on their posters, if their posteriors look good, whatever political persuasion we are supporting sometimes is purely because of ethnic mathematics and not even the real issues that matter. And 3 months after we have done the elections, we will go back to social media and start lamentations. We must stop being a nation of lamenters and actually be serious. In 14 days, we will be going to polls. But are the issues that make elections necessary the reasons why we will be choosing our leaders? Definitely no. I am on the ground, for example. I am campaigning and going around Dagoretti North, in Kilimani, Kileleshwa, Kawangware, Gatina, and Kabiro, and all those hamlets and villages and alleys in therein. And people know their problems. The only problem is that they are not asking for solutions to those problems. A lot of times, they're asking for other things altogether. Asking for T-shirts, asking for merchandise, asking for handouts, instead of asking for solutions to their problems. And that is the problem we have. So I think generally that's how I would want to look at the debates. I think Raila denies us an opportunity to once more look at his understanding and what he wants to do differently. It's a good way. He's actually denying his supporters because very few people will actually change their mind just on account of this debate alone.
Very few people.
Yeah.
What if it doesn't go? Do you think it will not change anything? Because look, for instance, for the case of Rigathi and Martha Karua, there's a way people had framed Rigathi and they didn't expect much from him. But he is outperformed and people, some will look at him differently now.
And that's what I'm telling you. The social media framing of personalities, if you run with social media characterization and framing, you get it wrong. Because if there's anything that is less objective, if subjectivity was anything, then it is social media. Because, you know, Rigathi Gachagua is a guy who passed his exams, went to the University of Nairobi, served in the provincial administration. If you know exactly what Kenya Institute of Administration will do to those people, will drill them into proper communicators, as in everything. So you do not conflate Rigathi and how he speaks. Also, Rigathi is a politician, and he's actually a politician of many days. He knows exactly what to do on a podium out there, and he knows exactly what to do in a structured debate. And so for so many people who are going out and saying that they are surprised with how he debated, they have not watched Rigathi Gachagua, for example, in the interviews he's held with the media. See how he dealt with Murathe, for example, on KTN. So people who saw that all of a sudden have forgotten, and they are saying that they are surprised that Rigathi Gachagua was this brilliant. A man who went to the University of Nairobi in those days, a man who became a DO in those days. Really, how do you expect him to perform? This is a brilliant chap. You know, if age has caught up with him and you are looking at how he dresses and you want to judge him by how he dresses and how he deals with, you know, let's deal with Babu Owino, for example. Let me give you Babu Owino, for example. The Babu Owino of crusades, crusades or rallies, is not the same Babu Owino in a classroom. He's not the same Babu Owino in a boardroom. And he's also not the same Babu Owino you will find doing the public management. See how he's run Embakasi East, for example, quite well. If you look at his work and his pronouncements in rallies are not the same. So he knows that when you go to rallies, there's a way you deal with the masses. And that masses are not there for lengthy, detailed conversations. Masses love quick, witty statements here.
Yeah, then you go.
And then, of course, if you're going to throw a barb here, that's what makes masses happy in rallies. Rallies are not places where you show your brilliance with numbers and figures, where you come out to give facts. In rallies, you quickly do your stuff in less than 3 minutes and go away. But what makes the masses remember you? It's those liners, those one-liners, those punches, those punchlines that actually make sense. So you do not expect and Rigathi knows his audience, by the way. His audience is not complaining. His audience is not complaining. Politicians are actually masters of audience segmentation. William knows what he says in Central. William knows, for example, what he says in Rift Valley. He knows what he says in Western. It's not the same thing. So I think people were so wrong on Rigathi because they honestly did not look at him. And if anyone was surprised with how he performed, then he's not seen Rigathi in interviews. Same thing will actually happen with Raila actually surprising people when he shows up tonight.
And we want to see him actually.
I'm
really looking forward to that.
If Martha attended the debate against Rigathi Gachagua, I have got a very strong feeling Raila will attend the debate.
So what are they trying to do with this?
This is just tactical. You make a move, these guys think that you are not ready, then you come and over-deliver. Because, of course, people are looking at Raila's age and trying to make a case for why he shouldn't actually show up for the debate and everything else. The Raila, is still very sharp. He's still going to run this country very well if he wins the elections. So, if we are... And by the way, a lot of people who are judging Raila cannot even make a case before their own chief if they had a problem. This is a man who's made a case before masses, and we have believed him. He has got a strong following because he knows how to communicate to his followers. So, I'm still looking forward to Raila attending this evening, the debate this evening.
All right, talking about chiefs, Deputy President William Ruto has decried the involvement of the administrative arms of government, that is the chiefs, in mobilizing for votes. And the same, your friend Rigathi Gachagua said, kazi yenu machief ni kutafuta bibi ambao amepotea.
That was a rally communication.
Right. What do you think? Yeah. What do you make of this involvement of administrative arms and systems in mobilizing elections?
A lot of times, I think since Moi's days, the provincial administration was misused, was used as a bottoms-up approach to mobilizing voters. And I know one party that does a very good bottoms-up mobilization of voters is actually ODM. While you are talking about chiefs, you can actually put it parallel to ODM and what ODM does. Of course, as public servants, they actually need to be neutral. They don't need to be part and parcel of this particular process. So they know too well that if we were sticklers to laws, that if we were people who respect the constitution, then people who actually break the laws should actually be sent home. So it's not right. There is no long answer to that. It is wrong for public officers to actually be partisan and pick sides, at least in the administration of public service. Yeah.
All right. So they should not be involved.
As in, why should they be there? It's against the law in the first place.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Another news, sad news from Meru, where we've lost 35 lives. 35 people have gone, kaput, disappeared. As a modern coast bus plunged into a river, and NTSA, in its element, has rushed to ban to suspend operations of the Modern Coast bus company across the country and also outside the country, headed towards Uganda. Now, I don't know what's the common sense of impulse in this country, because we are not actually interrogating the incident itself, but we are dealing. We are dealing with something is off. I don't know how the families feel at the moment, and I cannot explain and I cannot pretend to know how they feel. But I think the government as well is a government of knee-jerk reactions without really interrogating and fixing the issues. That's not the first accident on that bridge. There's been several accidents on that bridge. The bridge is continued to be unfixed, not been fixed to date. I don't know what you feel about these accidents we're having, also you as a Kenyan. By the way, when you are driving these days, let's say you're driving from Malaba to Nairobi, the number of accidents that you find on these roads are just mind-boggling. Sometimes you wonder what's going on. For example, I was driving again from Nanyuki over the weekend on Saturday, several accidents as well on the road. Everywhere you drive in this country, you find accidents. What do you make of this Meru thing, Arnold? Negligence or just bad infrastructure?
For the Nithi Bridge, I think while growing up as a kid, I heard about the dangers of the Nithi Bridge, both in news and songs. There is quite a number of songs done, sad songs in memory of accidents done there. I saw in the news this morning that about 158 people have died around that particular place, I think in the last 5 months or so. The one thing, and I don't know how to actually address this without necessarily being brutal to the politicians of the day, because the Nithi Bridge is not a new phenomenon. It's not an expressway that we are trying to test and pilot and see where the challenges are. The dangers around the Nithi Bridge are as old as we actually have been as a nation, at least, because it's one of those recurrent themes and news that comes from Eastern Province, or rather the older Eastern Province. So I think it's time for us to actually be also fair as a people. I'll give you an example. You saw when one matatu caused an accident on the expressway, the uproar was huge. What were the casualties in the matatu? 0. But a bus having over 34 people dead, you don't see that as an uproar. There is no one who feels the anger. The people who were so angry because a matatu overturned on the expressway.
You said ban them.
They ban them. No one is talking about that. So even our national psyche on how we look at these issues, that if it's about the local people, if it's about quote unquote, you see a lot of classism in the way we deal with these things. And that's why I also think the national government and even the local government, both Meru and Tharaka Nithi, the Meru County government and the Tharaka Nithi County government have also treated the same thing with that way, because we know too well that this is a black spot. The way Salga happened for so long until now, you see what has happened around Salga. We've ensured that it's dual. But after how long? I don't know. How many more people need to die at the Nithi Bridge before somebody actually redesigns the place? Because there is always engineering solutions to that. And I think it's time the leadership down there. The problem is that we always, if it's statistics, we always think it's other people. Until it's so close to family, until it's so close to you. So I think the leadership in Meru need to actually stand up, because one life is too many lives to lose. One life is one too many lives to lose. Here we're talking about 34, we're talking about 154 in the last couple of months, and somehow that is not a big issue. We shouldn't, the 3,000 or thereabout people we lose every year on accidents, like you actually were counting. Our lives, those are breadwinners. Those are people who are building the nation. Yes. There are people who are paying taxes. There are people who still had the whole future ahead of them. These are people who are not sick. So I think we need to do something. NTSA, the agencies that work around that. But over and above, the policymakers in this country, specifically in Meru and Tharaka Nithi, we need to wake up and honestly call this for what it is. It's a black spot, and we cannot keep on losing people and then making news, and that is where it stops. I'm actually told that the people who live around the Nithi Bridge have seen more dead bodies than the Kenyan military. Wow. Okay. That is cold. Those people are traumatized. Every day acting like the people who are, as in these are the first responders. What kind of trauma? And no one is giving them therapy. So now we have got people here, those are secondary people, the first responders from that particular area. The trauma, no one actually reaches out to them. Then they move that trauma to their own, to other people. So the cycle that actually grows out of that particular one policy failure becomes a huge public policy dent in that. All that becomes expensive. It's too expensive when we lose people, when we lose vehicles, when we lose the functionality of the people to work well, and then that trauma is moved to on other people. It's too expensive. Fixing that bridge can actually save a lot.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Okay, Cleveland Otieno, good morning, guys. Good morning to you. Abel Kogo. This year supporting Azamia to return their work, but it won't work. I see State House workers yesterday were not in good mood while President congratulating them. Okay. Collins Kibet, Ruto is not Uhuru. The best two tactical smart politicians for the last few years have been Dr. William Ruto and Raila Odinga. Let them square off. Looking forward to the debate this evening. All right. It's equally looking forward. But they know they would be owned by August 10th, the new government, new staff. And I really appreciate Arnold for articulating issues as it is. I think he isn't that over biased or lopsided. He can make great leader, and good luck to him. Okay. And he also needs to untie us before you wish him good luck, boy. Johnson Isaac, this Moana is making a lot of sense. Okay, about Juguna, it's an open secret. Why Rao is running away? Kenyans have seen Uhuru Ruto leadership from 2013 to 2017, and Uhuru Rao government from 2017 to 2022. At Amberi what? Okay, so the government is failing. Where was the traffic police and NTSA when this unroadworthy bus was moving along the road? The government should build another bridge in Nithi, so are innocent Kenyans in situations which could have been avoided. Elizabeth Karanja, absolutely no lie. One life is one too many. I agree. Kenyans are so desensitized till vices begin to look like virtues. Sad. About Juguna, the loss is greater than the 35 people. Oh, okay. Paul. Gerald Kimeto says, my brother, using and forcing chiefs to vote for Muganga is pure impunity. Chiefs are public servants. Okay. All right, I think as now. Thank you so much. I'm going to check. I'll check on the phone. But thank you so much, Atticus from the UK. Atticus from the UK for always supporting us. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you. God bless you abundantly. Asante sana, barikiwa zaidi. Makipto, while conversation is on the ground is about money, there is something which is bringing things at stake. Okay, all right. That's it on YouTube. Okay, I think I read that from Atticus. How do I donate towards your broadcast and yourself? Thank you so much. I want to say thank you for all your hard work. May God bless you. Atticus now from the UK. Asante sana. We'll be coming. We are planning to do our international tour this year, but looks like as things are going, we might have to do it next year. Out to America are saying we have to wait for 2 years to get a visa. So I don't know how easy it can work with the UK, but we're planning to come to the UK, come to Australia, and also visit the United States of America, so they can continue having these conversations together. Upon your invitation, that you will continue to send it to us, and we really appreciate you. We are coming. Since we've not come this year in the new government, the new dispensation, we shall surely come. We shall come. Sasa wako families are mourning, lakini kwa sababu ni common mwananchi, relevant authorities are silent about it. Abraham Manguti, the company is to be banned because there was a complaint that the driver had begged so much about brake problems. Unfortunately, an action must be taken to that company that doesn't feel the loss. Wow, okay. Not aware without facts. Branson answered this morning, government imenyamaza tu, ni kama kuku zimekufa. Hata kama kuku ikufa bana, we need to be concerned. Either tushindwe nini maua kuku, ama tujiuliza tutakula kuku aje. There's nothing that's supposed just to die like that. I mean, there's no reason. All right. Your tackle of the day.
My tackle of the day, since I'm alone, I should be allowed to have several tackles. Do it on behalf of Mark, who's gone, myself, and even yourself. Anyway, my tackle of the day, of course, goes to the agencies in charge of elections, specifically IEBC, the Register of Political Parties, and then, of course, the enabling ecosystem, that is the police, the committee that is in charge of planning the handover and everything else. That over and above, we have got one nation. And it is important that in whatever they do, all of us as Kenyans, of course, have got our Article 38 rights. We have got whoever we prefer. But then we have got the rule of law to uphold. We have got a constitution to look up to. And we, over and above, we have got a constitution to defend and a nation to take care of. There is no other country, and we should not ban this country. I have seen people who are not even Kenyans sensationalizing that IEBC is printing papers in other jurisdictions and not even in Greece and elsewhere. We need to actually call out those individuals because we only have got one country. It's not okay to polarize the country because the people who die sometimes are innocent people whose only problem is that they are Kenyans who are in the space where they couldn't defend themselves and protect themselves. There is no reason to polarize this particular election. There is no need to polarize the country. We've come so far, about 14, 13 days to go. We actually just need to do the right thing. We have got the systems in place. We have got Kenyans willing to actually pick whatever leader they want out of the 6 options they will have. And there is just no need to go back to those olden days where we had a lot of drama as we go to elections. Choosing a leader is so simple. Our kids do it every time. There is never post-election violence in schools because of choosing a prefect. There is never post-election violence in our colleges. Let us not make elections so complex. It is a very simple exercise. We shouldn't complicate this. And each and every agency playing their role actually need to do their right thing. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Arnold, for making in this morning. And thank you. I wish you all the very best in your quest to replace Simba as Chui. Chui inataka ku replace Simba. I wish you all the very best.
Simba imeenda yenyewe.
Simba imeenda
yenyewe tu. Sasa si hapa Chui tawale tu.
Ilitoka territory. Ikaenda Serengeti. Kutoka Masai Mara ameenda Serengeti. I wish you all the very best as you attempt to do that replacement. I know you have been here with you for a couple of years now. And I know you're capable as a leader, and you're objective enough to know what the people of Dagoretti do not deserve. And I can only wish you all the very best. We'll not ask you to go on us. We'll only pray for you and help you bring back victory. As a son of the tackle, that you come back here as a mheshimiwa. Asante sana. For those people in Dagoretti, do you have a leader with you here? You've had him. You've been here with us several times. He's spoken into several issues of state importance. And I mean, if you come up with that, I'll ensure that you can give him a vote. Come on, Dagoretti, not pay Arnold Hikura. Until there's something. Did you see Wanjigi's presentation on public data?
Yes, I think.
Do you have any comments to make on that?
We almost forgot that. Yeah. I think Wanjigi is trying to raise our consciousness on public spending, and somehow that has not gained traction. Even the media has not run with it, probably because the timing is wrong. But I think
but
it's
they are also looking at him as a person, not as the issues he's presenting.
Yeah, then they're not looking at his message. They're looking at Wanjigi, the person who has been denied the opportunity to run for president, or a disgruntled business person who has fallen out with the government of the day. But Jimmy Wanjigi is raising an issue that the civil society, the people of Kenya should be worried about. That for a lot of times, for example, we borrowed as much as 4 trillion shillings actually illegally when we disobeyed the Public Finance Management Act and therefore disobeyed the Constitution while doing that particular bit, and that the way we are borrowing is not sustainable and we are not making sense of the money that we actually are taking. Why we can't see that and actually pick up that conversation? Probably we need to pick up that conversation and run with it after elections, because somehow other issues, in my opinion, that are trivial have actually been given preeminence over this particular issue. The issue of public debt is a serious one. It speaks so many other things, including the subsidies we now get as UNGA. I'll tell you that from an economic perspective, it doesn't make sense. But politically, for political expediency, it is good. But does that money get to the farmer, for example? The subsidy money. So why are we giving subsidies to a few people, and then those subsidies equals taxes, and those taxes are spread to everybody? Does it make sense? The subsidies that quote unquote are supposed to help the economy, but then hurt farmers on the flip side, on the other side.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's the same thing. But where will that money come from, for example? It will still end up in what Wanjigi is talking about, the public debt. So we will need a whole day to talk about the figures and the numbers Wanjigi has actually done. It's actually a serious discussion that we need to have as a country. Because there is some structural corruption that we are not speaking to. It's deeper, it's hurting. Unfortunately, it affects each and every one of us. You are either affected. This is not like HIV, whether you are where you are infected or affected. This one directly affects you, and it's a conversation we need to start having. I know understanding those figures can actually be problematic. It's difficult, and I think the Wanjigi team did very good work at actually trying to simplify that. But we need to speak to that more. That issue should be an issue in this particular election. If there are 2 things that I think should actually be, 3 actually, that should actually be issues in this particular election, it's the issue of gender. The Article 27.8 should be a big issue in this. The issue of leadership passive, we've spoken about Chapter 6, leadership and integrity. It's a big issue. Like I've already said, all the promises guys are telling us in their manifestos already exists as programs, as policies. They are in the Constitution as promises and everything else. It's the implementation that has got a problem. And then the other bit of it is public debt. So the issue of public debt, the issue of gender mainstreaming, and the issue of leadership should actually take the fore. But are we talking about them? We are not talking about them. Yet the issue of leadership is core. We are not able to do proper management of public affairs without proper leadership. We are not looking at that. The issue of bringing women into the spaces of decision making and mainstreaming, making it normal, is quite actually a big issue. 50%. It doesn't make sense that 50% of the population has not been brought into the space of public management of affairs, and we still want to look like it's normal. It's actually a mad coach who doesn't feel half of his team and thinks that he's going to win. We are behind because we have left out a very important segment in this. And then finally, the issue of public debt. It's speaking to how sustainable the economy is and how the economy performs actually speaks directly to our socioeconomic gains or failures or everything else. So those 3 issues should be important. Public debt, gender mainstreaming, or rather bringing in, whether you're talking about gender parity, mainstreaming, or whatever way you want to look at it. And then the issue of leadership. But we are not talking about it. We really need to talk about those 3 issues. They are very, very important. But like we say, in an election noise, people don't get to see the real issues. They will wake up to those issues later on. But for me, those are the issues in this election. There's nothing new in these particular manifestos, because anyone running for office runs on 2 premises. You run, number 1, on record, and number 2, you run on promise. We are so quick to look at the promise. We are not looking at record. We have to look at both the record and then the promise.
Okay. All right. And the thing is, I would wonder, even as we wind up, apart from the paid up space that was, of course, was on NTV, the media has literally continued, almost refused to carry on with this thing, which for me, I think it's dumbfounding. It's astonishing to look at the numbers that I'm not an accountant myself, but when you try to harmonize that conversation, the fact that nobody has come out actually to say, no, this is wrong data. And as a country, we've just moved away from that. We don't want to have that discussion when we are facing a transition. And the transition is going to determine as well as going to handle public debt. And how further we can be damaged or burdened. Even the citizens are continuing to haggle around it. Like, huyo achana na huyo ni wa hivi ama on this other side of the politics. Why is it that we have an allergy to discuss serious issues in this country?
I don't know whether it's the human nature to prefer lies to truth. And they say that the lies do a whole lap around the earth by the time the truth is putting on its own pants. But you see, the issues raised by Wanjigi and the numbers out there should be alarming and worrying to every one of us. Anyone of goodwill, because unfortunately all of you pay taxes, whether you like it or not. But because there are two things you can't escape as a human being. That is paying taxes and death. Somehow you can't run away from those. So all of us are taxpayers, by the way. And you are a taxpayer, by the way, whether you are registered with KRA or not, whether you are an adult or not. Somehow anything you actually consume is actually taxed, because government taxes on three things. It taxes you on income, it taxes you on expenditure or consumption, and then taxes you on property. Of course, the type of property tax in this country is not well out there, but nowadays landlords already know they are paying taxes on that. We already pay rates. Guys on freehold elsewhere don't pay on that, but so number one, government will do that on income. So all of us, so long as you are consuming, you are earning, or you hold any property, you're going to be taxed in one way or the other. So for consumption, all of us consume whether we are adults or not. So the conversation about public debt is one that we must have. And those issues actually have to actually be given some little bit of space. But the media has run away. The media has chosen trivia over issues that are heavy.
Because the media actually should be the watchdog.
It's lazy journalism. It's how many data journalists do we have? Also, when you talk about numbers, it's actually sometimes complicated. The way we run government sometimes has been very complicated. So these numbers, people don't crunch them so fast. But I will still say that we need to revisit the conversation on the public debt. I'm hoping that tonight we need to talk about that. The committee that is actually dealing with the presidential debate team need to actually bring this up. We should not run away from it. I think Wanjigi has done research for us. Treasury has not denied. No one else has actually brought contrary facts or anything that is contradicting. So I think it's time that
we have this conversation.
We have got this conversation.
All right. On that note, Jimmy Wanjigi joins us tomorrow morning as we look at the issues that he has raised, and also as we review. It could be very interesting to hear tomorrow, tonight, and you getting to review the issues actually that were addressed on the debate. I think it will be an interesting conversation this morning, tomorrow morning. So Jimmy Wanjigi joining us tomorrow morning with this investigation. He's calling it forensic investigation into public debt, and he's called it an haste. A complete ace, an historical ace. They're joining us tomorrow morning to put that into perspective. I don't know, but if you have time, I don't know if you can make it here tomorrow, Arnold. You can also help us put that into perspective, especially going through the documentation, the presentation is going to make.
I would really love to come. I think talking about the public debt issue is very, very important.
Please come in tomorrow.
Actually come and just have that conversation.
Come in tomorrow. Tusaidiane na wewe kuchambua hii maneno na kuuliza maswali, because you want to get it to channel, to break it down, so the mwananchi can also absorb, and also you'll be able to look back at the debate that has happening tonight, and get to look at it at the real issue, where the real issues addressed. What are some of the things that were left out, and what value is mwananchi going to extract from that conversation tonight? So I think tomorrow you'll have a good conversation. I'm looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow. The tacklers who have been with us this morning, we really appreciate you. Thank you so much on YouTube and Facebook. It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to have you. And I wish you a very good day. So we'll be here again this evening trying to look at the pre-analysis of the debate. Tukiona nani anakuja, nani akuji, ikiendelea tunaona mambo iko vipi. And also maybe tomorrow as we also look back and see what was and what wasn't. All right. Until then, have a great day. This is the tackle and it ends right now. Bye-bye.